So Jim, when we embarked on this research project, our goal was really to come away with some tangible advice for leaders of wealth management firms on how they could be more successful growing assets. Since there are lots of surveys out there that ask advisors how they sell, and even more about what clients look for in an advisor, we thought an interesting approach might be to ask mirror images of the same questions to both advisors and clients, and thus be able to measure the gap. What was some of the most compelling things that came out of this approach for you?
Well, Amy, thanks for, first of all, doing the research with me. I really enjoyed the process. So what we think this all means is that there are two important things for advisors to take away in the business development process. And the thing that was probably most surprising and enlightening to me was how the clients and advisors viewed the importance of personal connection. And specifically, advisors said, or 94% of advisors said, this is an important aspect in the business development process for me. Whereas 66% of the clients said this is an important aspect. What we did was we viewed or took a look at 6 different elements of what a personal connection means. Things like telling personal stories to establish rapport, trying to get a better understanding of your feelings about money, coming across with you as being a financial partner in this process, and also attentively listening when you speak. Well, the clients said, to 87% of the clients, in fact, said, most important was attentively listening while they speak. And this was at least twice as high as the remaining 5 elements of establishing a personal connection. So they're not only saying this is the most important thing, but it's almost like they're saying this is the thing that we want you to do. So the second component of what we think that the advisors can do in this process is to say, okay, after a deep inquiry process in which there's open listening going on, and that's clearly demonstrated to the client, that we think that now it's time to say, okay, we have some solutions that we want to start to think about, and that these solutions are very specific to what the client has just spoken with you about. So those are really the key things, the most important thing that I got anyway out of the research that we did.
So Jim, that was an interesting insight about the role of developing a personal connection and what it means to clients and to advisors. What else struck you about the research?
So that's a good question, Amy. There were a couple of other areas that I felt that there was some significant difference between advisor and client responses, specifically in fee disclosure and also in showing strong performance history. In the fee disclosure question, clients, 81% of the clients, in fact, said it's important to them to have a disclosure of fees in the process. They wanted to know not only what are the percentage of fees I'm going to be paying, but what dollars am I paying on my specific portfolio. And I want to see all the fees that are included. So not just your assets under management fee, but also if there are performance-related fees, underlying manager fees, redemption fees, and so forth. They just want to know. So that disclosure is a trust-building activity. So compared to that 81%, only 44% of the advisors said that they regularly show fees as part of the business development process. And the second area of big difference was around showing strong performance history, whereas 81% of the clients wanted to see a strong performance history shown in the business development process. Only 20% of the advisors actually showed it. And we think this is a pretty significant differential. And we also think that the clients are really looking for how would my money have done if I had invested with you relative to the market or relative to goals of wealth preservation. So we think that it's not a big risk to show your performance history. In fact, it's a trust developing practice. So for advisors, we think that the takeaway around these two big differences of fee disclosure and showing performance history is that you have an opportunity to differentiate yourself from other advisors out there and to build trust for developing a long-term relationship with the client.